Somewhere in ancient Africa, two people spent an entire day doing nothing but scraping a dead animal's skin. And that was the smart move. Before anyone wove fabric, before anyone tanned leather in a vat, the only thing standing between a human body and the cold was an animal that no longer needed its skin. And getting that skin ready to wear, truly ready, soft enough to move in, warm enough to matter, that was a job that could eat an entire day. At sites across sub-Saharan Africa and Europe, archaeologists kept finding the same thing. Scrapers and baron-like tools worn down in a very specific way. Not the wear you get from cutting meat, not the marks left by shaping wood. The pattern on these edges matched one thing: working animal hide, over and over again. That is not an accident, that is a pattern. And patterns in archaeology mean someone was doing this on purpose, repeatedly, across thousands of years. When researchers examine these tools under magnification, they find residue, organic material trapped in the tiny pits and grooves of the stone edge. That residue is collagen, the protein found in animal skin. Not fat from meat, not plant fiber from wood. Skin. This shows up at Middle Stone Age sites across sub-Saharan Africa, places occupied anywhere from 100,000 to 50,000 years ago. And then again in Upper Paleolithic Europe. Completely different continent, different time, different people. Same toolware, same residue. When the same behavior shows up independently across two continents and tens of thousands of years, it stops being a coincidence and starts being a human universal. The tools themselves are specific. Scrapers for removing fat and membrane, baron-like tools for working the edges, each one shaped for a different stage of the same job. Researchers decided to find out exactly how hard this was. They replicated the tools, they sourced fresh animal hides, they started scraping. To take a raw hide, stiff, smelly, still full of fat and membrane, and work it into something genuinely pliable takes hours. Not one or two. Many. Every stroke requires real force. The scraper has to bite into the membrane without tearing the skin beneath. You do that stroke 1,000 times before the hide starts to change. Here is where the experimental data gets interesting. The process is significantly faster and produces a better result with two people rather than one. One person holds the hide under tension, the other scrapes. A hide that is properly stretched gives the scraper something to work against. You cannot do that alone as efficiently. Which raises a question. In a group where everyone is needed for hunting, gathering, and childcare, who stops to spend a full day on a hide? And do they do it alone? Some archaeological sites are stratified, meaning the occupation layers stack up like pages in a book, each one representing a different period of time. In the colder layers, the ones that correspond to glacial phases, the number of hide-working tools goes up, noticeably. And the tools from those cold layers are not just more numerous, they are more heavily used, edges worn down further, more hours of work per tool. Picture the environment: open steppe, wind that does not stop, temperatures that can kill an unprotected person in a few hours. A poorly made hide is not uncomfortable, it is dangerous. Archaeologists talk a lot about hafted projectiles and food storage as the critical survival technologies of the Paleolithic. Hide preparation belongs in that same sentence. The problem is that a spear point survives beautifully. A finished hide does not survive at all. So one technology fills museum cases and the other barely registers. The archaeological record is not a complete picture. It is a picture of what survives. And skin, the most important material ancient humans ever worked with, leaves almost nothing behind. Here is the question the tool record cannot fully answer on its own. Was hide working something everyone in the group knew how to do? Or was it a skill that lived in one or two pairs of hands? Some researchers point to the sheer skill required. A badly scraped hide tears. An overworked hide becomes brittle. Getting it right takes practice, the kind that builds over years, not afternoons. Others point out that in small groups, you cannot afford to have knowledge locked in one person. If that person dies in a hunt, the group loses the skill entirely. Shared knowledge is safer knowledge. At some sites, hide-working tools cluster in specific areas of the camp, not scattered everywhere. That spatial pattern suggests the work happened in one place, probably by the same people, regularly. The honest answer is, we do not know for certain. The tools survive. The The social arrangement that produced them does not. But the question itself is worth sitting with. What we can say is this: spending a full day making something that keeps another person alive is not a small thing. That is care, made physical, pressed into animal skin with a stone tool. Every person in that group who survived a cold winter did so partly because someone spent hours, days, working a hide until it was soft enough to save a life. That work just did not leave much behind for us to find. If this changed how you think about ancient survival, subscribe. There is a lot more where that came from.